What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and today I have an amazing Kommo-o, Oricorio and Marshadow deck in Pokemon TCG Pocket. In this video, I'll go over the deck build that you can see on the left-hand side of the screen. I'll talk about each of these cards individually, and I'll talk about why this deck works really well with each other and why you should check this out. Now, I do want to note that I did record this gameplay and I made this deck prior to the release of the Extra Dimensional Crisis pack release. However, just going through those packs, looking at the cards that were released in those packs, it doesn't really affect this deck and this deck build. This deck and this deck build is still very viable and is very good, very fun to utilize. So definitely check this out. But let's talk about all of the cards in this deck. Prior to me doing that, I do gotta say, if you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Pokemon TCG content. I do a bunch of other video games, so feel free to check those out as well. Thank you so much in advance for doing so. If you notice a little bit of a difference in my voice, I am sick right now while I'm recording this. Thank you all for understanding. Let's talk about this deck. Of course, I'm going to talk about the star, the damage dealer, Kommo-o. Kommo-o is a very interesting card. It's a dragon type card and requires two different energies. So this deck is going to be run off of two different energies. It's going to be run off of electric and fighting type energies. So Kommo-o, two different energies, one electric and one fighting, for clanging scales that deals 130 damage. However, there's a drawback to utilizing this attack. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes plus 30 damage from attacks. So that's going to be a little tricky to navigate. You have Kommo-o that is going to deal 130 damage, which is really good, especially for only 2 energy. Of course, you do have to pull one of each energy in order to attack for 130. However, if the opponent is able to attack, you're giving up an extra 30 damage towards your HP. Kommo-o does have a very decent health pool at 150. However, giving up 30 is a vast amount of HP. So when you are attacking with Kommo-o, there are a couple of things you want to note or try to strategize around. One, you want to try and take out whatever Pokemon you're attacking. If it's a Pokemon that does have a decent amount of energy on it and you're able to defeat it, then you won't have to worry about that Pokemon attacking you. Two, hopefully you're able to get the jump and attack with Kommo-o prior to your opponent powering up any of their Pokemon on the bench. So if you take out the original attacker, the original Pokemon in that active slot, and you're able to do that prior to your opponent getting any energy equipped on Pokemon on their bench, then you should be okay. You're not going to take that 30 damage. But really, if you do take the extra 30 damage, you're just hoping it's not on a powerful Pokemon. If you're taking it from a Pokemon that's going to potentially one-hit KO you with the extra 30 damage, then you are going to be in a little bit of a pickle. Of course, giving an opponent 30 is going to be a little difficult to navigate, especially with some Pokemon. I can think of one off the top of my head, a Pokemon that I absolutely love, Yanmega. Yanmega deals 120 damage. So if Yanmega attacks me with that extra 30 damage and I have full HP, 150, it's going to one-hit KO me. So I want to make sure that if I am facing a Pokemon that can one-hit KO me with the extra 30 damage, that I am taking it out or that it doesn't have the energy equipped on it in order to KO me. Another Pokemon that just came out was Buzzwole EX. That's another one that deals 120 damage when fully powered up. So there are certain Pokemon in the game that could be powered up to where if you do deal an attack and you give them that extra damage, you're going to be one-hit KO'd. So that's something that you're trying to prevent. However, if you are able to navigate that and prevent that, Kommo-o is an insanely powerful card that can deal a lot of damage. You'll see right here the 130 plus the red that I have in this deck. One-hit KOs a Mewtwo, which is absolutely awesome. There are a lot of Pokemon, a lot of strong Pokemon that have 150 or less HP that you're going to be able to one-hit KO and win your battle. So that's what I love about Kommo-o. On top of that, even though you're giving up the extra 30 damage to Kommo-o, it isn't an EX Pokemon. So if it is taken out, it's only 1 point. That's not the end of the world, especially if Kommo-o takes out an EX Pokemon on your opponent's side. It's almost a trade. You're getting 2 points for 1 point you're giving them. I'm going to do that all day, every day, because I'm getting 2 points. They're only getting 1 point for that. So I do love that. Now let's just talk about this evolution line, and then I can get on to more cards in this deck. So I do have one of Kommo-o. This is going to require the 2 energy, the 1 electric, 1 fighting for Dragon Claw for 60. I do only have one of them. And then last but not least, absolutely needed, is the Jangmo-o with Headbutt, colorless energy, so you can equip either a fighting or an electric on that to attack for your Headbutt for 20. You can find all 3 of these cards in the Celestial Guardians Lunala packs. So if you are looking for these cards, go to Celestial Guardians Lunala and you'll have an opportunity to maybe snag these cards. Now let's talk about 2 of the other Pokemon in this deck. Oricorio and Marshadow. Oricorio first. Oricorio is absolutely awesome. It has Safeguard, an ability that's going to really stonewall EX Pokemon, and this is going to be huge for this deck. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. That's absolutely awesome, and pairs really well with Kommo-o. Several reasons it does. 1, Oricorio can sit in that active slot and stonewall all of your opponent's EX Pokemon. This is going to allow you to evolve into Kommo-o. Not only is it going to allow you to pull the cards necessary to evolve into Kommo-o, but it's going to allow you to get the appropriate energy for that dragon. 2 different energy types is okay to pull, but it's not always the easiest. Sometimes you're lucky and you can pull an electric in fighting right off the rip. Sometimes you're unlucky and you get 6, 7, 8 fighting energies in a row. It's just the luck of the draw. Having Oricorio in that active slot prevents your opponent from attacking you if they have EX Pokemon, and allows you to set up Kommo-o, which is absolutely awesome. On top of that, Oricorio does deal damage. For 1 electric energy and 1 colorless energy, you can deal 50 damage. So all you need is 1 electric energy, and then whatever energy comes up next, and you can start attacking your opponent's Pokemon, which is awesome as well. So I have 2 Oricorios in this deck. Last but not least is Marshadow. Marshadow is absolutely awesome to revenge kill for either your Oricorio or your Kommo-o. Kommo-o, we already talked about, it's going to be giving up 30 damage. So if we're giving up this 30 damage, we can kind of get an inkling that he's going to be KO'd if we're not playing it carefully. However, if we anticipate that Kommo-o is going to be KO'd, we can get our Marshadow ready. Now, Marshadow, for those of you who don't know, for 1 fighting energy and 1 colorless energy, if any of your Pokemon were knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, Revenge for Marshadow does 60 more damage on top of the 40 that it's already dealing. So your Marshadow can deal 100 damage. But that's not all. There's a reason why I have Red in this deck. Red is great, both combined with Kommo-o, Marshadow, or actually Oricorio as well, but really Kommo-o and Marshadow. Kommo-o, adding Red, is going to deal 150 damage to EX Pokemon. Marshadow, with that added 20 from Red, is going to deal 120 damage to your opponent's EX Pokemon. This is going to give you a huge opportunity to KO your opponent's EX Pokemon. And again, if you KO your opponent's EX Pokemon, you're getting 2 points, which is awesome. Oricorio is there to stonewall your opponent's EX Pokemon, while Kommo-o and Marshadow are going to be there to deal the damage to them or any other Pokemon that may come across your path, which is absolutely awesome. So let's talk about Red, because I did bring him up. But first, before I talk about Red, Marshadow is going to be found in the Mythical Islands packs, and Oricorio is going to be found in the Celestial Guardians Solgaleo packs. But now let's talk about Red, because I have been bringing up Red. Red, during this turn, attacks used by your Pokemon do plus 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. So as I was mentioning previously, you're doing an extra 20 damage to EX Pokemon. Marshadow, if it's a revenge kill, gets up to 120, and Kommo-o gets up to 150. That's huge to KO your opponent's EX Pokemon, and it's really going to work wonders in this deck. You have your Oricorio to stonewall them, and then when you need to, you can bring out your Kommo-o or your Marshadow to finish them off. If you don't finish off your EX Pokemon, your opponent's EX Pokemon, Oricorio can stay there to stonewall, and then Kommo-o and Marshadow can feel free to run at your opponent's other Pokemon. But Red is great to do that extra damage. Again, once Kommo-o is in that active slot, you want to one-hit KO whatever Pokemon you're facing. So that's what Red's there for, is to really help with that. Red is going to be found in the Shining Revelry packs. Next, let's talk about some, of course, the basics. Pokeball, Professor's Research, pretty much a given in a lot of decks. Pokeball is going to put a random basic Pokemon from your deck into your hand. Professor's Research, you draw 2 cards, so you can get the Pokemon or cards you need in your deck a lot quicker. Next, let's talk about Rocky Helm. I like Rocky Helm here. It's going to help deal extra damage. It's going to protect all of your Pokemon. Kommo-o is dealing 130. If it attacks an EX Pokemon and we have Red, it's going to deal 150. If it is a stronger EX Pokemon and you have your Rocky Helm equipped, you're going to get an extra 20 damage as long as your opponent doesn't clear that Rocky Helm off, which can potentially be crucial, especially for Pokemon that may have a giant cape on, for Pokemon that may have a little bit more HP than 150. You're going to deal an extra 20 damage, which can be crucial to knocking out your opponent's Pokemon. It can also be great for survivability when you're playing some of the earlier evolutions and you're being attacked by your opponent. It can be easier to take out your opponent's active Pokemon, the weaker Pokemon that are attacking you, or maybe even deter them from attacking because they know they're going to take 20 damage. So I love Rocky Helm in this deck. For those of you who don't know, when your Pokemon is in the active slot and your Pokemon is attacked, you do 20 damage to the attacking Pokemon. And Rocky Helm can be found in the Space Time Smackdown packs. Next, let's talk about Rare Candy. Rare Candy is going to be great to help evolve Kommo-o a lot quicker. So Rare Candy, you choose one of your basic Pokemon in play. If you have a Stage 2 card in your hand that evolves from that Pokemon, put that card onto the basic Pokemon to evolve it, skipping the Stage 1. So that's going to be absolutely awesome if you have your Jangmo-o on the playing field. You can utilize your Rare Candy to evolve into a Kommo-o and start attacking really quickly for 130 damage. Of course, as long as you have the right energy equipped. But that's going to be huge to dealing a lot of damage really quickly to your opponent and really catching your opponent off guard. So I really love having Rare Candy when coupled with the Kommo-o evolution line. And I have 2 of those. You can see on the left-hand side what I have 2 and what I have 1 of. Every card I have 2 of except for Marshadow. I do only have 1 Marshadow because I don't want to pull Marshadow early. I really just need Marshadow later in the match so I can revenge kill. And then, of course, I have my Kommo-o. Only 1 of them because I'm really relying on Rare Candy to evolve. And Rare Candy is going to be in either of the Celestial Guardians packs. Last but not least, I do have Pokemon Center Lady. She's in the Shining Revelry packs, and you heal 30 damage from one of your Pokemon and it recovers from all special conditions. So this is going to be pretty important to keeping your Pokemon alive. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, peace.